Hey guys, it's Barrett with the Camping Camper. So we recently installed the new Lippert Solid Steps on our camper. Our camper came with the Morryde Step Above system with a 3-step system, and that's caused us some issues, and I figured we'd have more issues just because of the recent suspension work that we've done where we've gained some ground clearance. And so I wanted to go up to a 4-step system, and I like the solid aspects of the fold-out steps, so we were going to stick with those. And I thought, well, let's go to the 4 system. And do we want to go Lippert? Do we want to go Morryde? I'm not sure. I reached out to Lippert after doing a little bit of research, and they did sponsor the product for this video. So So most of the problems that we've had with the 3-step system is going to be whenever we've been camping, like at the lake and you're on the bank there, and obviously the grade's going to go down toward the water, right? That's all the time going to be your front door if I have anything to do with it, because my front porch is going to be the lake whenever I'm camping somewhere like that. Now, we previously resolved this with using some wooden blocks in order to use as a spacer on those steps. Apparently, if you contact a lot of these manufacturers, they do have longer legs, but the legs still aren't too much longer, and so that can still be an issue. And we also had a platform stool that we used that has adjustable feet. Now, that was very strong. The things that I liked about the platform stool is that it had adjustable legs. The things that I didn't like is that I wish it was a couple of inches even longer, because it didn't sit well with the step, because where the feet were, essentially having it horizontally there in front of the steps, it would kind of run into the legs of the steps. And so I kind of wish it was a little bit wider just so that it lined up better. But all in all, it was a great step. It had a lot of like anti-slip stuff on it, and we were really happy with it. And it supported up to like 1,400 pounds. So even us bigger guys, we didn't have an issue with it. However, with our recent suspension upgrades, we gained about 4 inches of lift. So I'm assuming that all of these problems were just going to increase. I did use the camper once after having the increased lift, and everything worked out well with the 3-step system, but we were on a completely level surface, and you know, it wasn't going to take much at all for that to throw that all out of whack anymore. So obviously we could use a couple extra inches, but let's be honest, who couldn't? So I started doing some research about replacing my 3-step Morryde with a quad step. This way I could eliminate my extra platform that I've been carrying around, and you know, it takes up storage and it's just extra space, extra weight, and I just wanted to get rid of it, not have to carry something else around that could accomplish the same thing. Now, since the only steps that I've tried up to this point are the Morryde steps that came with the camper, I did reach out to Lippert, and like I say, they wanted to provide the steps for this video in this project, and I'm thankful for that, and I'm going to give you as honest review as I can about the product. Now, they did send me the quad step for review, and Lippert suggested a floor height of 35 to 44 inches on their website for this step. My threshold is approximately 38 inches off of the ground, and the only other option is the size of width that the stairs come in. Due to the width of our door, I had to order the narrow set, which is 26 inches. So let's take a look at the pros and cons of fold-out steps in general. Both the Morryde and the Lippert steps share some of these pros and cons. After that, then we'll discuss the difference between the two brands. The pros are obvious with both steps, that the steps don't bounce and that they're very solid. This is especially helpful for us larger people. And the construction for both of these steps are top-notch. The cons for this style of steps are that they fold in. You know, this can bring a lot of dirt, rocks, and debris inside the rig, and you got to be really careful about that when you fold the steps up, because anything that's on those steps when you fold them up is just going to fling right inside the camper. Obviously, gravity, it's a thing. So now we're going to compare the Morryde and the Lippert steps together. Now, to be completely transparent, this is the newest version of the Lippert step and probably not the newest version of the Morryde step, but it's the only one that I have any experience with, and it's the only one that I have. Obviously, there's going to be a main difference between the two that I have, and that's going to be the length, and that's the real reason that I ordered a new set of steps. Like I said, they're both constructed well and they're very strong. The main difference is the size of the top step. The Morryde top step's the same as the rest of the steps, but the Lippert top step is larger. It's more of like a little mini platform at the top rather than just an additional step. Now my wife has told me after taking a couple of trips that she really appreciates this and really likes that top step being larger. And we used to travel around with an older dog. Sadly, she passed away not long ago. But my wife said due to that larger step, she believes that the dog would have had easier issues because there at the end we had a lot of issues getting the dog in and out of the camper. The other main difference is the adjustment. So I will say that the detents on both pins are just a pain in the butt to get the pins out. However, to adjust the Morryde steps, I'd often have to lift the whole step up. With the Lippert steps, you can just pull the pin out and the feet basically fall down to the ground and auto adjust. While we're talking about the pins, you know, I did find that the way that the pins oriented in the Lippert step was a lot more aggravating because it's harder to get in and out. They say it just takes practice, but back to the point, you know, the issue is it's just the way that it's oriented, it's hard to get those detents out. So what I did, I saw a YouTube video that I'm going to post up here in the corner and down in the description, but those guys down there, they actually replaced it with like a tractor style pin where you have the clip that holds it in. And so I actually ordered some of those before I got the steps, and they've been a great addition. They're easy to get on and off. They don't hang up on the door when you close it or anything like that. And it's just been a great little hack to go in there and just say, like, you know, I don't have to worry about that anymore. You know, as far as the installation, the Lippert step does come with a backing plate, and a lot of people mount them with through bolts. They go all the way through the floor into that backing plate. You know, the Morryde steps were held in place just by half the amount of screws, and they were just screws from the top, and it's been fine. So I decided personally that I'm just going to screw the Lippert steps on from the top. If there's any issues, then I'll go through and drill them out and put the backing plate under there. I'm just going to hold on to that backing plate. So far these steps are holding up great. Now I will say that I can see we might have the opposite problem now. Because that fourth step is pretty low to the ground when you're level, and so if you have any incline there, then that might be an issue where the steps can't go down far enough for the door to close properly, in which case I guess worst case scenarios, if it's not paved, I'd have to dig the ground out a little bit. But really, how often is it where you park somewhere and the ground goes up at your front door? You know, I can think of maybe one place that I've ever stayed that's been like that. And so I think that that's going to be a non-issue for us. Because let's think about it, whenever you're going out of your door, it's usually sloping down from your site to help with drainage. All right, now let's talk about our general complaints here. My only complaint about the Morryde step is that the legs weren't long enough. I feel like both of these steps, they could have longer legs in them. I mean, I know that it's more money whenever you're talking about more metal and stuff like that, but if they just had, you know, 4 inches longer on the legs, I think that would have made me a lot happier as a customer, because there's really not any reason for them to not be a few inches longer. The only damage that I can see to the Morryde steps after having them for a few years is damage on the feet, because I don't put anything under the feet, and so they are banged up from hitting the gravels and all the stuff that I drop them on. And this is really not an issue for me, and I see that as totally expected. All in all, I'm happy with the Lippert steps so far. They will fix our issues that we've had in the past. The only thing that I haven't liked about them is the pins, which do seem to be harder to adjust, like I said, than the Morryde pins. The channel that I mentioned before is called Today We Go, and they had the video talking about the pin upgrades and all that, and I think it's great. And there is a link to their video in the description, and there's also a link to the pins down there. Those pins come in a set of 10 for less than $10, so you have plenty of spares if you only need 2 of them. But it's, you know, it's not a bad idea to have a couple of extra pins in the camper anyway. If you don't want to order a pack of 10, you can always stop by Tractor Supply or your local farmer's co-op and get those as well, because it's just normal tractor implement pins. However, you know, I would say the price is going to be higher. It's probably not going to add up to $10 for 2, but it's probably going to be pretty significant. One big bonus to the Lippert steps that I've seen is that you can upgrade it as well. They have a handy handrail that attaches to the steps, as well as a lift assist to help you fold them up so they don't weigh as much. These are both neat options, and we will possibly be looking into these for the future, especially the handrail. I think that's a great option. I just didn't go for it right now, but it's definitely something that I'd be interested in the future. Apparently, by looking at some other people's videos on the Morryde steps, I don't think that their lift assist can be added to the step. It has to be like the step assembly as a whole, and that can be an issue because, like, I would say probably 90% of these steps that get sold are probably to the RV manufacturer. And so if you get a step that doesn't have the lift assist and you want it, there's no way to upgrade that without buying all the new steps and everything. I'm just going to hit the highlights for installing the steps. You know, what I did was I took the old steps out, I just took the screws out. I set the new Lippert steps in. And one thing that I really like about how they design this is you put the first 2 screws in with the steps down. And so you don't have to hold them up or anything. You can measure on both sides, make sure it's centered, and you can put those first 2 screws in. I didn't pre-drill. You're supposed to pre-drill. I didn't pre-drill the holes. But you get those first 2 screws in, and that holds it together. So then you fold it up, and then you adjust the latching mechanism, and you extend that out to where it'll catch on your door. And then that holds all the weight of the steps. So then you just go through and you add all the extra screws. And so it's pretty easy to install. After you get done, you just give it the jiggle test, make sure that it's in there firm, put it down, level it out, make sure your door closes, go up and down them a few times, and you're ready to go. You're headed out for business. I would say if I wasn't recording, it probably would have took me less than 30 minutes to change the steps out. So guys, I just wanted to say thank you for watching this video and being part of our family. It means a lot to us. And be sure to hit that subscribe button if you hadn't, and follow our journey through the way.
Do not forget to hit that subscribe button.